there has been an additional leak. This is it. This is the Swain Leak, and we can go ahead and break this down a little bit. Swain, apparently, if this is to be believed, Swain is a 5-minute 3/6 fearsome with Nexus Strike, deal 3 to the enemy Nexus. Okay, when he levels up when you've done 12 non-combat damage this game, and when you deal, when he's leveled up, when you deal more combat damage to the enemy Nexus, stun the strongest back row enemy, and deal 3 to all enemies. Yes. One interesting thing here is we don't know whether his champ spell is Noxian Fervor or Ravenous Flock, and I guess we'll see that later. But Swain overall looks like his own card and his own effect looks pretty underwhelming. It looks like it's not really gonna do a ton. Like, yeah, it's got the same stat line as like Thresh, but pretty much weaker in like most other ways. Fearsome tends to not really be good on something like a 3/6 stat line. His level up condition is very weird. Like, basically, when you've done 12 non-combat damage this game, well, first of all, you're usually doing a bit of combat damage. And if this has been to the opponent's Nexus, you're gonna be wanting to end the game when Swain levels up, which makes his level up useless. So his level up is only useful if you're playing him in a more control-y kind of game. His level up is only useful when you are basically trying to control the opponent's units with non-combat damage. So that you'd really want to combine that with PNZ, I would say almost certainly. The ability to pick up like Get Excited and Mystic Shot is just too powerful. Thermo Beam is probably going to be bigger than both of those. Get Excited is lower on the list than like Thermo Beam and Mystic Shot, and maybe even Static Shock. It's like, it's hard to, if you're trying to level him up, it's hard to not combine it with PNZ, and you can't really be playing super aggro. It would be kind of like an alt burn playstyle. And his level up isn't really doing too much either. Like, his level up is kind of hard. It's like, to make him level up, you have to be damaging enemy units. So you want to be using like Mystic Shots and Thermo Beams. And then you play your Swain, and he levels up after having like controlled the entire early game. And then once he's leveled up, whenever you start sending those things to face, and Static Shock is going to be a good way to do this, because you can send one to face and then one to a unit and kind of like semi-control the board. You're stunning the strongest back row enemy. Back row just means fat-kitted or on the bench, basically. Of course, whenever he Nexus strikes in this form, it deals 3 to all enemies. Now, that's weird. That's very, very, very strange. Like, the idea of just trying to Nexus strike on a fearsome that doesn't really help you Nexus strike with it, dealing 3 to all enemies. Swain is very, very strange. He really doesn't seem very powerful. He seems like he is really all over the place. His stat line is very strange and doesn't really support what he wants to do. I think he doesn't really know whether he's like an aggro card or a burn card or a control card. He's very much all over the place. And I think like if this is, how Swain's gonna turn out, I do think, some people are going to be a bit disappointed. I do think, because Swain is a bit of a fan favorite, right? He's kind of like Yasuo. Actually, now that people are, kind of playing Yasuo, they're probably going to expect this, honestly. It's kind of a similar treatment, so maybe they're used to it. Noxian Fervor. Deal 3 to an ally unit to deal 3 to anything. So it's sort of like a Glimpse Beyond had a love child with Get Excited. Basically, right? That's the idea. It's got like the effect and mana cost of Get Excited, but the condition of Glimpse Beyond. Now, what I will say is that the condition of Glimpse Beyond is not a bad thing necessarily. The condition of Glimpse Beyond has certain counters to powerful things. It counters Grasp, and it counters Vile Feast. Those are really, really, really important. The ability to counter Grasp is unironically one of the reasons you play Glimpse. I just put it back in my spiders list for that reason. Like, being able to stop the Grasp 3 health and then just like get the free draw 2 on top of that is an incredible value swing. It's so important to be able to do that. So yeah, it's not bad. It can definitely see play in aggro decks. It's going to be a bit situational. I would say keep in mind with Noxian Fervor, The one downside of this card that's really, really important to remember is it's counterable. And by being counterable, think of this card more like Glimpse, which is you can't use it unless the opponent is either tapped out or they go in first. That's how this card works. They have to be tapped out or they have to go in first. Because otherwise, when you play this card, if they kill your target, it stops its effect, okay? So the way you would use Get Excited is mostly you do a bunch of damage to their face, and then you get excited for lethal. The problem with Noxian Fervor is when you try to use it in that way, it might not work, because it might just get straight up countered by the opponent having, you know, some kind of removal that couldn't have really gotten too much value otherwise. Although usually, you know, most things that can counter this, that's going to be like grasps and mystic shots and stuff like that. Usually if you're aggro, most of the stuff that could counter this kind of has been played already. I actually think Noxian Fervor is a decent card. It will see some play. It makes a decent amount of sense. I don't think it's like a 3-of or anything, and it's not like it's uncuttable. It'll see like experimentation. Might end up being like 2-of in competitive like aggro style decks. Now, a lot of people might be asking with Noxian Fervor, can you use this with like Vladimir strategies? I would say no. I think it's really hard to use it with Vlad. Vlad, you are kind of a combo kill deck, but your over-the-top kill combo really wants to be just using like buff tools and might and stuff like that. Like take hearts. That kind of thing is kind of the most reliable way to get that combo off. Most of your units that you want to trigger, you don't want to be dealing 3 damage to them. That's a little too much. I don't think it really makes sense in that kind of list. And then finally, there's Ravenous Flock. 1 mana, fast speed, deal 4 to a unit if it's damaged or stunned. Being able to deal 4 to a unit if it's damaged is not bad at all. Not bad at all. And I think that Noxus has some decent access to stuns. For example, just very simply, even like Arachnoid Sentry is not a bad card at all. I think a lot of people have just been running it in more like low synergy concepts just as a value tool. And it actually has really been impressing me. It's not bad. So Ravenous Flock, I think, gets a bit of a bonus if you're running that, but mostly you can just use it to like clean up a big thing. It's probably gonna be a lot better than like Noxian Guillotine in a lot of situations. I think Flock, because it's 1 mana, can actually get a lot cleaned up. 1 mana, fast speed. You're kind of always 2 for 1ing, so it's not like, it probably looks kind of insane to some people, and it's not as insane as it looks, but it is, I would say, probably the best card out of these. Anyway, that's kind of like the bundle of cards here, you know. We'll see in a couple days, because I think Swain's going to be the next one revealed. So, I mean, in theory, I'm sure I've seen some people saying they think that these, you know, might be fake. But either way, we'll see in like 2 days when it comes out. Ultimately, yeah, I think the spells are definitely a bit playable. Swain is looking really, really, really hard to use.